Hello there and welcome to my first ever attempt at a Hardcore Nuzlocke. For those of you who don't know the rules of a Hardcore Nuzlocke, Rule 1, no overleveling. Rule 2, no items in battle. Rule 3, you must play on set mode. This video was inspired by Flygon HG and Pokemon Challenges. I think they both make great stuff and they're what got me into doing this Nuzlocke in the first place, so thank you to both of them. And finally, this is the first video on this channel, so if you could subscribe and like, it would help me out. Anyway, I'm Magnusam Live and this was my first ever Hardcore Nuzlocke. My journey starts off with me calling myself Sam and calling my rival John. Don't know why, but hey, look at him. Seems like a bit of a John, don't he? For my start, I decided to go with Bulbasaur, just because he makes the early game quite easy, being a good counter to the first 3 gyms, and after that you should have enough encounters to be able to put out a team to deal with anything else, so I thought it made sense. So I picked him and nicknamed him Barry. I then started my first battle with John, and I lost. Guess that's attempt 2 then. So we run it back and I lose again. Attempt 3, I guess. And you know what they say, third time's the charm. Suck it, John, you fucking suck. After I get Pokeballs, I get my first encounter, which is a Rattata. Or however you say it, I don't know. I then get a Mankey as my next encounter and call him Man. I then caught a Caterpie and called him Chris. And then caught a Weedle, which was my last encounter before Brock, and I called him Wee. Terrible name, didn't matter, wasn't going to use him. I then went and fought Brock, who was, oh my god, the first boss of the game, a really hard challenge. But they're all quad weak to grass, and have no special defense, so that was Brock. After the Brock fight, I grinded up some of my Pokemon, and I evolved Chris into a Butterfree. I then got a Pidgey who I think I wanted to call Phil, but I called it Pill. I don't know, this might have been late, not sure, can't explain it, but we now added Pill to the team. I then went and bought the Magikarp you can go and get, because I was like, well, it's a guaranteed Gyarados, and Gyarados is awesome, so I got him and called him Mark. I then got a Geodude as my first encounter in Mount Moon. This is kind of boggers if I say so myself, because Zubat sucks. In later games it's alright, because Crobat's pretty good, but Golbat is just garbage. So I caught him and called him Greg. Chris the Butterfree then dies, because I'm stupid, and didn't realise Double Slap can go more than twice. For some reason I genuinely thought it could only go twice, so it went 4 times and got a crit. So now he's not very alive, but I was able to leave Mount Moon without any more casualties, which I guess is somewhat good. I then taught Mega Kick to Mankey and Mega Punch to Geodude, so now they can kick and punch really hard. I then went and did the Misty Gym battle because I was slightly more scared of the rival battle to go north on the Nugget Bridge. So obviously I lead with Barry and I use a Vine Whip to start. Staryu hardens and I whip as hard as I can and I get Staryu right down with a critical hit. Misty then switches in her ace, a Staryu, the evolved form, the sequel. It's like the 5th Star Wars movie, which is a sequel, because the second one is a prequel, not a sequel. Anyway, I go for a Vine Whip and Starmie hits a Swift, leaving us both on pretty similar health. She goes for the Swift again, I go for another Vine Whip, getting her down into the red. Knowing that a potion's coming, I go for Leech Seed, because the extra health it will get back means no matter what, I won't be in crit range throughout the rest of the battle. Perfect plays from the perfect man. Barry, you suave beast. And I mean, after the Leech Seed, there's no way Starmie can kill me. They can't get me in the crit range. They can't do nothing. They can't do fucking nothing. Because the max a crit could do is 26. And look at that, I was on 27, Leech Seed gets me up to 34, you will do nothing, Starmie. I did the calcs in my head, baby, and I killed you. So that is the 2nd gym badge. Cerulean City is mine. I came, I saw, I conquered. This town belongs to me. But then, after becoming the ruler of Cerulean City, I think that's how the gyms work. I haven't looked into it. My rival John comes and challenges me to a fight, wanting to be the king of Cerulean, and I make sure he can't. What I did before this battle is I studied, I read books, and I found out Greg was the perfect counter to this rival fight. I saw his only 3 attacking Pokemon were a Pidgeotto and a Charmeleon. So I knew I could just sweep this whole team with Greg. Because look at this Pidgeotto. 2 damage. 2. It did 2. And I nearly OHKO it. Like, it's not even close. It's an unfair fight. I'm leagues above everyone else. I'm simply the best to ever do it. I mean, honestly, the demeanor, the swagger, Greg's got it all. Look at this. Look at this. Look. Are you ready? Rock throw, and that's Pidgeotto's fight over. And then the biggest lie ever told is told. Charmander is sent in, so I'm considering my options. I go with a Magnitude, and here's a Metal Claw. This is super effective. That's super effective. That is false advertising. Look, I took no damage. What kind of a super effective move is that? So obviously we get the OHKO on Charmander, and then he's looking at his Pokemon. He sends in an Abra. So I'm just like, hey, I'm just here to farm XP off you. I didn't know you actually thought this was a competitive fight. So I just chuck marking. So I'm like, I'm not going to take you seriously. I'm just going to get some XP. And then he teleports. What can he do? He can't do anything. That's what he can do. So we just send Greg back in, ready to kill this Abra. And one rock throw later, Greg makes just such light work of Abra. Like, look at Abra. That is the definition of light work. And I guess my rival John doesn't know the honourable thing to do here is to resign. You forfeit. You give up. You are not in this battle. It was not competitive. I'm going to OHKO another one of your Pokemon. It's going to be embarrassing. I don't know why you turned up to this battle. It was never close. It was never a competition. You shouldn't have showed up. I was trying to go on a stroll up this very nice bridge, and you anyway, so that's the battle. After that battle, I got an Abra as my encounter. So I had not got any Great Balls or anything, because Abra's quite rare. Wasn't expecting just to get an Abra as my encounter. So I just throw a Pokeball and I pray, and I guess God's real, because I caught an Abra. So after getting that god luck to catch the Abra, I had to decide on a nickname, and I thought for a bit, wasn't really sure what to call it, and I ended up settling on Jeff. So now I have an Abra called Jeff. I wanted something that began with A, but I couldn't come up with anything that began with A, so now we have Jeff. I then got an Oddish as my next encounter, and I called him Gazer, because look at him, he's a bit of a Gazer, isn't he? Don't care, he's a girl. Or she's a girl. It's a Gazer. I then did some pants on head play when I was speeding up the game, and I accidentally learned self-destruct. So now I don't have a rock move, and instead I have self-destruction, which I can't use, because that's not how Nuzlocks work. I then find out Species Clause means I have no encounters for the next route. To explain what Species Clause is, it means you can't catch the same Pokemon twice, or you can't catch the same evolution line twice. So let's say here I could catch a Pidgeot. You can't, but let's say I could. I couldn't catch it because I've already caught a Pidgey. This isn't the only route this happens to, but it's the only one I'm going to mention. Also, I'd caught a Meowth by the daycare centre, so I can't catch that. Just hadn't mentioned it. I then went and got the Versus Seeker for grinding, because I'm a man who wants to grind. And for my next encounter, I got a Spearow, which was going to be my flying Pokemon for this run. So I caught him and called him Sean. I then realised I needed it for the next rival fight, so I decided to evolve it into a Fearow. Talking of that rival fight I needed Fearow for, here it is. Now the beginning of the battle's quite easy, because I just send out Greg and his first 2 Pokemon are Pidgeotto and Charmeleon. Obviously I don't have a rock move anymore and I have self-destruct, but apart from that it's pretty easy. So I deal with those 2 and then he throws in his Kadabra. And this is the only Pokemon I was really scared of, but as I mentioned, I needed Fearow for this battle, and here's why. Fearow learns Pursuit, which is one of the only dark moves I think I can get at this stage, and is quicker than Kadabra. which like none of my other Pokemon were, or maybe I don't think they were. So I'm just able to send in Sean, hit a few pursuits, and then finish him off with a peck after getting pursuit disabled. Huge dub season. And then to finish off, it's just Eradicate, which I deal with quite easily, because it's underleveled, and it's just not a great Pokemon. So nearly a one shot, and then it's dead. I then go and catch a Diglett for the next gym, because it's an electric gym. So even though I have no intention of using Diglett on my team, you catch it, it's already about the right level, and it's just a ground Pokemon against Lieutenant Surge. So I catch him and I call him Doug. So I go and battle Lieutenant Surge, and I'll be honest with you, it's quite easy. I lead with Diglett, or Doug, and Doug's able to deal with the first two Pokemon. Get quite lucky getting back-to-back magnitude 9s. Although I'm not sure the first one mattered, and even if he didn't kill Pikachu with a magnitude 9, it's like, I don't really care if Doug dies, I have no intention of using him. So when he sends in his Raichu, I just send in Greg, because I looked at Raichu's moveset and realised it could only use quick attack against ground types. So knowing Greg obviously resists that, I'm just like, well, 3 dubs. Now I need to go through the team I'm using, because so far I haven't really made it evident. Obviously I've got Barry the Ivysaur, Sean the Fearow, Greg the Geodude, Jeff the Kadabra, and Mark the Magikarp, who's going to become a Gyarados. Now you may have noticed I only listed 5 members. That's because I only really have 5 members, but I am carrying around a 6th, and that 6th member is either going to be like Diglett or Rattata. Just know these are the 5 members of the actual team, and I don't get a 6th teammate for a while. Okay, so back to the actual Pokemon. Now here my encounter just before entering Rock Tunnel is a Voltorb, and you may or may not have noticed I've stopped showing encounters because I'm not really going to add anyone to my team for a while. But the reason I show this Voltorb is because it's kind of a bit clutch. The reason for that being is it means with Dupe's Claws at Power Plant, I can't get a Voltorb or an Electrode, which means I have to get something like a Pikachu or a Magnemite or an Electabuzz. And I'll be honest, they're all better Pokemon than Voltorb. I then got out of Rock Tunnel really quickly, because shout out to this map I found on Google Images. So yeah, I was just able to get out really quickly. Greg then evolved into a Graveler. Okay, so I go and face one of the easiest gyms realistically in this game, which is Erica. It's a grass gym. Like, come on. So I go in there, and the level cap was so annoying up to this point, because I'd literally stopped using Pokemon just because I knew they would overlevel. Anyway, I go for a Sean lead, because Sean, big bird go brr on the grass. And I show that this is quite an easy battle, and I just peck my way through. I'm not 100% on this, but I think I might have been able to get Fly before now. But for some reason, right, so this is like quite an easy fight. I don't know what made me think I had to do this. I switch out Sean for Kadabra. And like, it doesn't seem like that big of a misplay. But one, why Sean was fine. And 2, Kadabra has no health and no defense. So here, Jeff is just vibing. Why is he called Jeff, by the way? Vileplume comes out, right? And I'm like, oh, this would be fine. It wasn't fine. Look how much damage Acid does. Look. And you may go, Sam, you lived and you won the fight, but what if that was a crit? And I left this battle feeling annoyed, because I could have just lost Kadabra there, and I'd been so lucky to get Kadabra, and it was such a dumb play. Like, why did I switch out Fearow? There is actually no reason in this case to switch him out. Yeah, I did it. Anyway, I won, but so it was fine, but like, anyway. And the level cap went up. Way, it's now like in the 40s from the 20s. Bit mad. I then stopped moulding and evolved Mark into a Gyarados, and Gyarados is kind of OP, so I was very happy about this. I then evolved Barry into a Venusaur. I then went and faced my rival John, and I'll be honest, it was quite easy, because I was over leveled, and I was able just to sweep with Greg, which I find quite funny. Like, I consider not sweeping with Greg on the Gyarados, because I go, ugh, scary water type, and then I sweep with Greg. And then I have another very easy fight, because I go fight Giovanni. I'll be honest, having the level cap increase so much, but still having these significant battles, a blessing, because it means I can just be over leveled for them. I'm telling you now, if you could just be over leveled for every fight, this game would get a lot easier. And that's the whole reason the Hardcore Nuzlocke rules exist. Yeah, but I mean, the only thing that has a chance of being threatening on this team is his Kangaskhan, and even that was dealt with fairly easily by Greg. I then did the Mr. Fuji thing, and I'll be honest, Lavender Tower was just a great place for Gyarados and Kadabra to grind. Thank you to the crazy women. I then got my 6th team member, Cypher, and I'll be honest, this was kind of a mistake. Not really, Cypher's a good Pokemon, I enjoyed having him on my team. But the reason I got Cypher was for the Psychic Gym, because I looked at that gym and I kind of went Monka S. And then I found out Cypher doesn't learn any bug moves. What's up with that? Anyway, I got him and I called him Kevin. So there's my 6th team member, Big Man Cypher. I then went into this Koga fight, and I'll be honest, I didn't realise the gym trainers didn't have poison type Pokemon, because that doesn't make sense. So I kind of got a bit scared, because I just led with Kadabra, and I kind of just was speeding up the game, and I spammed out a move. So I just sidekicked, like, what is it, a Hypno, right? And I got like to half health, and if it had been a crit, I lose my Kadabra to some random fucking gym trainer, right? But luckily, it wasn't a crit. But that did make me realise how frail Kadabra is. So the reason I'm leading with Mark in this gym is because I'm scared. I'm so scared, and I've always been really scared. Because my theory was, if I lead with Kadabra, probably doesn't one-shot everything, and probably takes a lot of damage. So I was like, let's skirt away from that. Mark can probably deal with everything. Mark couldn't deal with everything, but Mark deals with a couple of Pokemon, and then I'm like, let me just send in Graveler, I guess. Big Greg seems like the guy. And I send in Greg on this Coughing, and Greg takes like no damage to the Coughing, I'll be honest. But the toxic damage starts adding up, and Koga spams Hyper Potions. So I have to send in Jeff, and I'm kind of scared at this point, because the whole point was that I didn't use Jeff, and then his accuracy falls, and I'm like, this is scary. And then I use one Psychic, one shot the Coughing, and then his ace, Muck is coming in, and I have nothing else. I have to use Jeff for this, because everything else is either underleveled or has taken too much damage in this fight. So I just hit Psychic and hope, and luckily, so luckily, it's a one shot. Now I'll be honest, seeing that I just one shotted his ace, I probably just could have used Jeff the whole fight, but I'm a terrified young boy. Okay, but now, one of the fights I was most fearing in this whole playthrough, this rival fight in Silphco, but I kind of had a strategy, which was to defense curl and then roll out with Greg, and as you can see here, it did wonders against everything, right? But like, Rollout has bad accuracy, and there's a few Pokemon here who I'm fairly sure could like one hit Greg. So going for this strategy was a bit dangerous, but I don't really care if Greg dies. I'll be honest, as you see here, he gets so close to dying, and with the burn, if there'd been another turn, I think he's dead. But literally, I like Greg. He's a great guy. Hey, listen, if you meet Greg out and about, I'd be concerned because he's a fictional character. But if you do, say, hey, I heard he's a great guy. He's not a great Pokemon though. It's like I can't get a Golem because there's no trade evolution. So I wasn't that worried if he died. So I was just very happy when I got the sweep and I got to keep Graveler. I then had a very nice time battling Giovanni, because Giovanni is easy in all of his fights. Why is he so easy? He's meant to be the big boss of the Mafia. Crime Syndicate. I don't think they're a Mafia. They're nothing like a Mafia. They're not, maybe. I don't know, if I'm honest. What defines you as a Mafia? Like, what's different between the Yakuza and your regular criminals? I simply just don't know. Anyway, very easy battle. Just kill the Pokemon, innit? And look, Mark's doing that, except I had to switch him out. I don't even know why I kept him in there. Could have died, but still. It's Giovanni. He was never going to. So, easy battle against Giovanni, as it always is. Thank you, Giovanni, for the free XP and an easy fight. Now, this battle was the one I was most terrified for the whole run of, right? So, this is literally the reason I have a Cypher. Because I could have got an Eevee and probably got, I guess, a Jolteon. Because water types are easy and Flareon's bad. So I could have done that. I could have got Dratini. But I got this Cypher instead of both of those Pokemon. And it's literally just because of this gym. Because I thought, this is like the only good bug Pokemon. Turns out the only good bug Pokemon doesn't really have bug moves. But big physical attacker. And you can see here, I got one Swords Dance off. And bang, take out the Kadabra. Next Pokemon was a Venomoth. Why a Venomoth in a Psychic Gym? Not quite sure. But a bug Pokemon against this thing which has wings. Wing attack. Bang. Also, why can't Kevin learn Fly? It can fly. It has wings. It's a flying type. It should be able to learn the move Fly, as it can fly. I'm looking at it hover right now. Anyway, Mr. Mime comes out next. Another wing attack comes. Bang. And I do want to mention, I know Kevin gets, I think it was Pursuit, but I figured out in my leveling up, Pursuit actually does less, even super effective, because it's a special type attack and it doesn't have stab, so it actually just does less. So it's better just to use wing attack. Anyway, talking about using wing attack, this ace, the Alakazam, one wing attack and bang, no more Alakazam. It's dead, it perished. So there it was. I beat the gym I was most terrified for this game without taking damage. It was probably the easiest gym all game. And I'm going to say it was probably the easiest gym because I was scared of it. So I was like, okay, I need to know how I'm going to beat this. So I just used Cypher. And Cypher turned out to be a really good counter to this gym. So there you go. Hey, you doing a Nuzlocke? Get a Cypher. Great lad. I then rushed straight over to Blaine's gym, and I didn't even level up my Gyarados before. Like, I kind of grinded him a bit on the gym trainers, because I knew if you have a competent water type, this gym is easy. And it turns out Gyarados is a very competent water type. So I just sweep through the whole thing, but I miss a Hydro Pump there, and Arcanine comes out, and I'm like, okay, Hydro Pump, miss it, Hydro Pump, miss it. Like, what's that like? It didn't matter, right? I was fine. I like won it easily, but still, bit annoyed that the Hydro Pump missed like 3 out of 5 times. I then go straight into another gym battle without really leveling up, because I know that Mark can sweep all of this gym. At least that's what I thought, despite being a bit underleveled for it. So I one hit nearly every Pokemon except the Nidoqueen and the Nidoking, right? So the Nidoqueen goes down after a bit, it heals a couple of times, but like it's fine. Like, what are you doing? You're just wasting hyper potions. Anyway, get rid of 2 hyper potions there, and then Nidoking comes out, and I nearly got punished for like not leveling up for this, because look how low I am, and I'm getting paralyzed. So I send out Greg, get thrashed, and this is scary. Monk ass, right? And I don't know why, but for some reason here I switched back into Gyarados. I think it's because I know that either he's going to go for Earthquake or Thrash. I think I might have been trying to do something knowing he'd go for Thrash or something, but it didn't work. So I just ended up getting Earthquake. But I don't know what I was doing. I don't know. I did it. Somehow I didn't get punished here, just because Giovanni sucks so much ass. But like, I don't know what I was doing that fight, and I came in underprepared. But luckily, Giovanni sucks ass, so it ended up being still fairly easy. You may recall me earlier saying Voltorb was a good catch because it meant I could get anything in Power Plant, which wasn't bad, and that was true. So I went and got a Magnemite, which is just a very good Pokemon. It has a Steel typing, which there's barely any Steel types in this game because it didn't exist when the originals came out. So one of the only Steel types. Steel is a great type, especially in these earlier games. It's an electric type. Electric types always hit big, you know. It's just a good Pokemon. So I caught Magnemite and I called him Mazza. Obviously I had to grind up Mazza because it was like a level 20 Pokemon. So while grinding it up, I turned it into a Magneton. Now I got Tree Magnemite. I then go into my final rival battle against John. I start off with a Gyarados lead because I looked at his team and I know Gyarados can deal with most of it. So I deal with the Pidgeotto, easily deal with the Rhydon. Don't know why he switches that in. Then the Execute. I'd got an Ice Beam TM for this in the Pidgeot, but then I get Stun Spored. And because of that, a Pokemon I can nearly kill in one hit gets me down and keeps just getting me down, and I keep getting paralyzed and it hits another Solar Beam, so I'm down to 77 health by the time it's dead. Then Alakazam comes out, and at this point I'm kind of freaking because everyone else is a bit underleveled. I'd kind of just hope to sweep with Gyarados, because I'll be honest, grinding at this point in the game sucks ass. So I was just like, oh, let me just get to Victory Road. So I had to do this rival fight to do that. Look how underleveled my team is. But after looking at it, I decided to send in Mazza because I'm fairly sure Mark's too low, because Alakazam hits so fucking hard, and it goes for disable as I put in Mazza. Now I cannot tell you why I'm using Spark, and I did not spend like the 10-20 minutes to get a Thunderbolt TM from the casino. But I use Spark anyway, and it does a good bit of damage, and it gets the paralysis. But Alakazam's Synchronize ability means I get paralyzed, and Mazza's like one of my only other good Pokemon for this fight because it's a decent level. So now Mazza and Gyarados are both paralyzed for this fight. Despite all that, I do enough to knock out Alakazam with Big Boy Mazza. But now here comes the Charizard, his ace. The thing that I was scared of, but the plan was, well, Gyarados fucks him up. It's like it's nearly the same level. Gyarados is just better. But Gyarados was so low that I was confident it couldn't do, and it was paralysis. Like, what do I do? Look. And then the Surf doesn't do enough. So I just end up sacking, like, Fearow. I sacked Fearow to get Gyarados in on a free turn. Then I sacked Graveler to get Jeff in, because I thought Jeff would outspeed. But look at this. Nothing can do anything. It was pain. So that's it. I whited out to my rival. I didn't even get to the Elite Four. And I think a lot of that was just impatience, because I just wanted to get to Victory Road because I knew grinding would be faster. So that's it. That's my first ever Hardcore Nuzlocke, and I failed it. I think I did fairly well for this being my first Nuzlocke of any kind, hardcore or not. And hopefully you enjoyed this being my first ever video. Anyway, if you have any suggestions for what kind of videos I can do in the future, maybe another attempt at a Hardcore Nuzlocke, or a different Pokemon challenge. I was considering maybe doing a Hardcore Nuzlocke on like Emerald or something, because I've never actually played that generation. Anyway, any suggestions would be appreciated, and click one of these things on the end screen. Anyway, subscribe if you like the video, that's what all the YouTubers say, and goodbye.